As I've read the Old Testament, I've always been interested in this concept of accountability. This idea, and we actually see it today, by the way, is that something will happen because of Israel's behavior, because of the things that they've gotten into, and the very byproduct of their behavior, they start to see things that are going wrong all around them. In the particular passage of Scripture that I'm going to be reading today, the context is the divided kingdom. There's a north kingdom and a south kingdom of the Israelite people, let's say. The Judah and Israel. And at this time, they have fallen back into their pagan worship practices. They've completely disregarded the ones that God has called them and given them blessing in. Called them to, giving them blessing in. And all of a sudden, they start to see things kind of collapse around them. Other entities, other nations are kind of encroaching on their space and all of that. And the accountability part that I want to talk about today is this idea that something will happen like that, and then they'll kind of shake their fist at God as if He's the one who has perpetrated this awful crime. And say, hey, we're supposed to be the chosen ones, so in their idea is they should be able to do whatever they want to do, and it doesn't really matter. But what God is telling them is that, no, you're missing the point here, is that your behavior is the way it should be because you are the chosen people of God. And in Micah, this prophetic book, and this book of a prophet, it's interesting because Micah is telling them, God is telling Micah, thus he's conveying this information to them, that you could make all of the Band-Aid type sacrifices that you want, meaning like, God is asking for sacrifices, but you could just make them as a ritual and it doesn't really matter. You could do all of those that you want, but if your heart is not in the right place, then it just doesn't mean anything. So in Micah chapter 6, we see this conversation almost, or maybe monologue. Maybe monologue, it's not a conversation. God is conveying through Micah that the Israelites have gone so far out of what they're supposed to be doing. That yes, He still loves them. Yes, He wants to bless them. Yes, all of these things that He's promised, He wants to come to pass. But it's almost as if Israel is blocking their blessing. So Micah is trying to get them back on track. And he said, let's start with the simple things, the basics. And Micah 6:8 says this, talking about God. God is showing them things. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? Okay, we're getting back to the basics here, right? He says to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. He's taking them back to the basics. Like if you can accomplish these things in true honor and spirit of the things that you're supposed to be doing, if you're doing all of these things, we're at least going on the right track of following God and leaning on Him for your protection, for your provision, and all of these kind of things. The Israelites were not doing that, and that's why they had to get back to the basics. So, two things come to mind. One is, are we holding ourselves accountable for our behavior, or if we've gone off track and things start to dissolve and disappear and collapse around us, are we shaking our fist at God? Why did you do this? Instead of looking inward. But also, are we overcomplicating things sometimes? Do we need to get back to the fundamentals of our faith and saying, like, what are the things that I once did, that I once experienced, that I once was, that I've strayed far away from? I think that helps us to get back on the right track. And we just really need to focus on the basics. Who is God? What does He want us to do? Who does He want us to be? So, I hope you learned something today. By the way, you like my cat poster? It's one of those back to basic type things. Hang in there, you know. I was really excited when I got that. Have a great rest of the week.